Hello everyone, I'm Don Cholish, Lead Product Manager for FootPrints, and I'm here to give you an overview of the 12.1.08 release. First, a legal disclaimer, as some of you will be watching this video before the release is officially released. All this is saying is all this information in this video is only for you and your organization and can't be shared outside your organization. And also, this is talking about things that will be delivered in the future, so things are always subject to change. Okay, 12.1.08. The goals of this release, like any other release, always want to work on improving quality, fixing defects. But the other two major goals are improving the user experience, specifically for the administrator area. You're going to see there's going to be things that are going to help your regular day-to-day users, the agents, as well as the administrators. And then filling in some gaps from version 11 with some new capabilities for 12. First, rule name and history. So in previous releases, when you looked at the history of a ticket or any type of record, you saw that either a user updated some record and set some field value, or a rule did that. There was never any further information letting you know which rule did it. So similar to like we have in version 11, you can see here now, either if it's in the header or within the details, if you expand the header, it's going to show you the exact rule that made the change. So this will definitely help you when you're troubleshooting, when you're actually configuring and setting up your rules, especially for some type of new business process you're using the product for, or their general day-to-day users just want to get a feel for, oh, okay, now I understand that when I do this, it's going to run this rule and set this other thing, to help with the getting people to understand what's going on. Next, a few areas where we're going to allow you to copy things. These two things are going to be of great benefit to the administrator. So one of them is the ability to copy a search. So I'm sure a lot of you have had the need to have multiple searches that are very similar in nature. They might only have one criteria difference, for example. If you have to do that 10 or 20 times, that's quite a burden. It would be much quicker if you could just take one of the existing ones, copy it, and then just modify the one thing that needs to be changed. Similarly for quick templates. If you have a lot of quick templates that need to be created, and there's a lot of them, you don't have to create a brand new quick template and set all those 5, 10, 15, 20 fields again. When you select the existing quick template and choose copy, it'll show you a page for like you're creating a new template, but it'll already have all the configuration for all the fields already set there for you. So you can just go in and edit the one that you need to change and go forward. And then kind of lastly at the bottom you can see there are some changes as far as how the page is laid out. We got more vertical screen real estate there. And it's specific, the field values at the bottom, I believe this was about half the height as it is now. So you can see now it's doubled in height. So you can see a longer list of things makes it easier to work with. And then specifically when you're doing things with like a description field that takes up multiple rows, it'll be much easier to work with. Next, we have a new option for base URL for web server authentication. So this is something, the base URL, that you usually only configure once and then kind of forget about it. This comes into play anytime the system needs to send a link for people to be able to get back into the system. What's going on here is if you're someone who uses web server authentication and all your users use web server authentication, there was never any issue. Or if you're someone who all of your users used some type of other authentication and not web server authentication, there was never any issue. But if you're in a mixed environment where some people are using web server authentication and others are using another form of authentication like LDAP or native FootPrints authentication, these links that were generated and sent out were only sent in one form or the other. So now you have the ability to set these different base URLs. So you can see a common example in the bottom there, support.mycompany.com:8080 and support.mycompany.com without the :8080. We need different URLs to get into the application for web server authentication versus the other authentication techniques. So now this should allow all the users to have access to those email links and emailed reports as well. For the time being, this is only going to work for emails that are actually sent to users. So if you actually choose to send an email to a particular person, a user account like Don Cholish, for example, using my name, it's not going to work if it's sending an email to an email address. So don_cholish@bmc.com. There's no way for it to actually match up that email address with a user and know that it's sending to a user to check their authentication. But that is something we're working on. Also, for things like surveys, in this case, as I mentioned before, there's no particular user that's going to be found. It's going to default just to the regular base URL, not the web server authentication base URL. Some other things to note, big things here as far as user experience and your agents and customers and general users. You're going to have the ability now to paste images from the clipboard, or even drag image files into rich text fields. So as you often know, especially in IT, if you're trying to troubleshoot something, getting screenshots of the problem is a very common thing. So a lot of people use the print screen and then just want to paste. You are now going to be able to do that in rich text fields like the description field. Just a couple notes on this. What we're actually doing is pasting an image file directly from the clipboard. So we have no control of how the copy to the clipboard actually happened. So a few common experiences. Sometimes when you're online and you kind of right-click and say copy image, it's actually not saving it to the clipboard as a standard image file. It's most likely saving it just as a reference. So in that case, we're still going to paste it in just as a reference, but it's still not going to be stored within FootPrints. So obviously, whoever's viewing it is going to have access to that external link. It's going to still be stored in that other web application or web page. And then also, the way certain applications handle copying, if you right-click and choose to copy an image, the way they save it to the clipboard, sometimes they have their own native formats, which aren't standard, PNG or JPEG formats. So those things won't be able to be pasted over because we can only paste what's actually saved to the clipboard. So just some things for you to note there. Next, if you have a rule that's set up, when you configure your rules, there are a few check boxes. One of them is to automatically assign to the creator. Another one's to automatically assign to the creator's team. If they're being used in conjunction, now it's going to automatically assign the creator as a member of their team in kind of the team.user format. So in the past, they were kind of saved as two different entities. The team was assigned and the user was assigned separately. But obviously, if you're using both of these, the creator and the creator's team, people are going to want the creator to be assigned as a member of the team, not to have two different separate assignees. So that's going to happen going forward. Another thing, which hopefully shouldn't affect many of you, but in the past, when there was a failed upgrade, unfortunately some users actually kind of ignored that message, and then the upgrade was successful enough that the system was still kind of working. So people ignored the failed upgrade message and then continued to log in and then work with the product, which could then corrupt their system and corrupt some of their data. And unfortunately, this kind of wasn't really found out for maybe several days, weeks, or even months until they went to upgrade into the next release, and we kind of caught it a little bit later. So what we're going to do now to prevent that going forward, to protect everyone, is if the upgrade does fail for whatever reason, we're actually not going to let you log into the system. You're going to have to roll back to the previous version and or contact tech support if you don't have the ability to roll back because you didn't make a snapshot of your VM or a database backup. Please remember, it's part of the upgrade. We ask you that to always make a backup or a snapshot or both. In case anything happens, you could go back to your previous working copy and kind of move forward while we figure out what's going on with your upgrades. And then kind of the last thing I want to mention is out-of-office filters, a feature where you have the ability to block certain emails based on the subject line of the email. So the most common thing is someone's out of the office. If you see out of the office and subject line, it's not going to create a new ticket or update an existing ticket. In the past, we would send a reply to the person letting them know that, all right, we blocked your email. That's obviously not the most desirable thing. So now we're no longer sending that reply. So it's just going to fail silently, and we'll put something in the log so at least the administrator knows that something was rejected. Okay, so going forward, if you need any further clarification assistance, you could always contact tech support, and then also make sure to visit and use our online community. You can see the URL for it right there. We have a lot of people from BMC and partners and customers that use that community a lot. So if you have a question or a how-to question or whatever it may be, you can most likely get some type of answer to it within a day or two. Thank you and have a good day.